Hello, welcome to my new tutorial. In this tutorial and series of screencasts, we will create a simple group chat service very similar to Slack or GitHub, and we'll be using Elixir and Phoenix for our backend and Material.js for our front end. So let's get started. First of all, you need to install Elixir language. So open up their page and complete installation instructions, and then you should install Phoenix framework. Current version is 1.1.4, so follow their guides and install latest Phoenix. And at the end you should have Erlang version 18 and Elixir version 1.2.3. Alright, and now we are able to run our mix Phoenix new task. Mix Phoenix new, and the name of our project, let's call it Slack. Oh, and by the way, you should have PostgreSQL installed, PostgreSQL version 9.5, I guess. Yeah. Okay, now let's change directory to our project. Okay, and open up your text editor. And put the project directory in this text. I've also created my little file helper, so I will not waste the time on typing, writing, and focus more on explaining what I'm currently doing. Alright, so first open up your mix.exs file, and we should add some dependencies. Okay, here are dependencies. We need them for user management, authentication, authorization. Save that file. Okay, let's add some applications here. And open up your terminal and type mix steps get. We fetch all our dependencies from hex.pm. Good. Now open your config files. Here it's config. There are all config files. We should configure our Guardian. You can find this code on their page, so just find their GitHub repo. So all the instructions in the walkthrough you can find in this repo. Here is config. Alright, now we need to create new file under config directory and call it def.secret.exs. Use mix config and configure our OAuth strategy, OAuth keys. Okay, here we'll put our GitHub client ID and secret. You can put here all the sensitive information, but don't forget to put this file to git ignore. And then input config to dev.exs. So by doing this, we just import all these configs from our secret to this file. Close. And then then we should create our DB. Good, DB has been created, and now let's generate some migrations. Mix ecto gen migration, create user. Go back to your text editor and find your migration under brief repo migrations, and we need to configure our migration. First, we should execute extension, which is called ctext. This is for case insensitivity. So when we create our table user and add columns name and emails, you see that our emails will be case insensitive, and then we'll create unique index on that emails. So far so good. Save file and migrate. Mix ecto migrate. And then obviously we need to create our module under web modules directory, new file, user X. Okay, put this code. configure our schema so we can add or remove associations under that block, and then required fields, in our case email, and both email and name. Also we have two change sets, registration change set and a regular change set. Later on I'll explain why we have two change sets. We have no files here, so just remove this line. Save that file. Right now create another table which is called authorization. Create authorizations. And create our table authorization. So we create table and the columns: provider, UID token, refresh token, expires it, and the last is user ID, which means that our table authorization will belong to user. When we delete user, we delete all the authorizations of that user. So this is the strategy: all delete, delete all. Save this file and migrate. Create new model. Authorization X. And provide with this code. Here is our schema, and now we have that the line, our authorizations belong to user. Save that. Here's all the file and the change set, and we need to add one line to our user. User has many authorizations. Good. Now we need to create Guardian Serializer to enable serializing and deserializing our tokens. So under directory web, create new folder auth, and inside create file Guardian Serializer X. And we use this code. You can find it in their repo. So here is our serializer. Save this file, close, and then go back to terminal and create tokens. Create Guardian DB. When we open up Guardian DB GitHub page, we can find, yeah, this is our migration. Open up repo migrations, find newly generated migration, and inside this block, inside this function, create table Guardian tokens, and know that primary key is set to false, so we have no primary key, but our column GTI will be primary key. Save, migrate. And then we need to, obviously we need to create our model. New file, Guardian token X. And use this code. Now that we use our serializer here we derive our primary key to GTI, and here we use our Guardian serialize to serialize our tokens. Save this file, close, and now go to auth directory in web, create new file, we'll call it user from auth.x, and then we will put here this long heavy code. You can find this code on my repo or in this project, Phoenix Guardian. This is test project. You can find all necessary files and especially user from auth here, and later on I will explain how this code is working. But for now just leave it, just copy and paste. Alright, now go to controllers folder and create new file. We'll call it helpers.x. and provide it with this code. It's just our helpers to make us able to redirect back. Save and close, and then create new file auth controller in folder controllers. Right, copy and paste this code. And we will be using this our module user from out, and also plug Ueberauth, and later on I will explain how this code is working. So just for now, just copy and paste from my repo. And note that all our functions inside control, they have 4 arguments rather than 2. Yeah, we have default connection and params, and also current user and climbs. So we should change our page controller default, generated by default. So I'm gonna add current user and climbs. And also we can provide our variable current user, our data current user, to our view. But for now we don't know what is this, what is current user. We have current resource from Guardian. I will show you. Yeah, where is it? It seems we don't they don't have it in their readme, but they have current resource users, so we should define it in our view helper later on. But for now we should create view for our auth controller. If you create controller, obviously you need to create view. New file auth view.x. Control C and Control V. And then templates. Yeah, create folder templates auth. And inside create new file login.html.ex. and provide it with this HTML. Save and close. Then yeah, we already changed our page controller. Yes, we should change our page view. And by default it has this code, this HTML. Just remove and paste just header, the word hey. Save and close. Okay, now we should create our helpers. Under view directory, create new file helpers X. Paste here this code. Alright, here's our current user, and we say when we call this function current user, we should execute this code, should fetch current resource using Guardian plug. Also, we have another helper, log check. It enables checking if user is logged in. Okay, save, close. Let's change our layout view a little bit. By default it's empty, so we can customize a little bit our flash messages, our error or warnings. I'll be using this function from my connection, and all necessary code HTML will put inside this string, and later on we'll import this function from controls. By default it's from controller. It's disabled in the view, so it will not work in the view. We should import from here, yeah, and later on we'll do it. Alright, save this file, and now go to open up your app HTML under templates, layout, open up, and then okay, paste here this code. So I guess we don't need these icons. Right, we have been added another meta tag with name Guardian token. So we'll load our Guardian token inside meta if we have any token. Then we load some CSS. This is icons, just for social networks icons. And then go to our body and see we have our navigation tag, and inside we have our partial, and provided with variables or props. If you come from React, so we can call it props, so we can provide it to our partial. And now we have this show flash function from our layout view to enable our customizable flash messages. Okay, once we have our partial, we need to create it. Now I'm gonna copy and paste this HTML. Alright, once we passed our variables to our partial, we can use it here safely. Save and close, and then open up your routes, router.x, and we need to add some pipelines. First add browser auth pipeline, so we'll be able to load or plug verify session and load resource from Guardian. And then under the scope, add browser auth, okay. Now add some missing routes. First our logout route and credentials, and then we need to add another scope which is called auth. This is from Ueberauth. So if you open up Ueberauth, for example GitHub, and we will see, yeah, this scope is required. Save our router, and then we should create our sign up controller. So we'll be able to log in with our GitHub account or sign up with our email and password. New file, sign up controller.x, and inside we'll create only one page, new HTML. Right, obviously we need to create view, new file, under views directory, sign up view.x, and templates, new folder, sign up, and inside create file, new HTML, EEX, this is our form, registration form. Save this file and add routes, add sign up route, under scope slash sign up controller, new function. So basically very similar to Ruby on Rails. Yeah, and then obviously we need to change a little bit our web.x to enable our helpers and some functions in controllers, in controller and view. So we'll be using Guardian plugin ensure authenticated, and it will help us lock our some pages from unauthenticated users. So for example, if we have any private page, and then it will help us to say, for example, if user is not authenticated, it cannot reach this private page. And very similar functionality with permissions. So if user has doesn't have any permissions, he could not see this page. It not load this page. And remember, we import our helpers, controller helpers. Also, we need to change our view. Control C. Control V. Yeah, here is. Remember, this is function get flash with one argument that we import from Phoenix controller to make us enable this rendering, flash messages rendering. I have created OAuth application. See this, and this our new generated client ID and client secret. Obviously, in your case, this string, these numbers will be different, provided with the name, homepage URL, in our case localhost lvh.me, and callback. Callback will be auth GitHub callback. Alright, now copy this string and go to your secret def.secret and paste it here. I repeat that in your case this string will be different. Control C and Control V. Yeah, seems like we are done. Now we can launch our server. Yeah, first we need to install our npm dependencies, not modules. Here is our default package JSON file. And now launch server. Okay, seems like we have syntax error. Router oh yeah, of course, comma. Relaunch server. Yeah, our app is generated. Elixir code is compiled. Now we are able to go to lvh.me port 3000. Yeah, here is our default page, root page. This page. I can say, hey, schluck. Alright, now our login form, and this is our GitHub icon. We can log in with email or password, or with register with GitHub. Also we can sign up form. Paste here email, name and password. So let's try to log in with our GitHub account. Yeah, obviously you need to have GitHub. Yeah, it's working. I have been registered or signed in with my GitHub account. This is my name, and this is flash messages signed in as Ulan. So let's try to log out and sign up with email. You can type any valid email, any email with valid format, and the name will be Joe and the password will be root. Okay, the same password into password confirmation input. Let's try to sign up. Yeah, we've been successfully signed up with Joe account, so it's working. And let me explain how it's working. First, when we try to log in, our app will route us to this page, login, and render this page default page, login HTML, and then this is our callback. Doesn't matter if we logged in or signed in with our social network or with our identity, we have callback. If the callback is failure, yeah, we have Ueberauth failure. It just renders error and redirects back to login page. In case our callback is success, so we have auth. This is Ueberauth auth. Okay, then we invoke this function, user from auth get or insert. Now open up user from auth. This is our function. We call this function, and inside we call this function auth and validate, provided with this argument of which we received from Ueberauth auth and repo. Okay, let's go further. Find out auth and validate function. Okay, we have auth invalidate provider identity. That means if we we try to sign up with our password in email, this function is invoked. And then if we have any authorization, okay, it's just fine. Just renew our password token and we have our authorization. If password does not match, we have this error. If password is nil or empty, this error. For example, if we do not have authorization, it renders this error not found, so user not found. And the same thing with GitHub, basically the same. The difference is that in this logic we use command bcrypt and check password, but here when we use GitHub or any other social network, just check if current token, if we have authorization and its token is the same as token provided by credentials, by auth, so it's okay. If we have no authorization, error not found, so user not found, then this logic. In case error not found, register from auth. So we should register our user. That's our function, register. First we need to validate, obviously. Validate password or email. In case we register through GitHub or Google or Facebook or whatever else, so everything is okay. But in case we register through our identity, we should check our password, first password length. In my case it should be later or equal 8, and then validate email format. Go further, validate email with regex, so our email should be valid. Of course it should be binary or string. And then if we passed validation, we pass validation, so the return is okay. Then we should invoke transaction, repo transaction, create and call a create user from auth function. This is new function. Here it is, user from auth. First we should match our current user, this argument to user, and check if we have no user. If it's nil, we should get it. We should check if we have already this user with this email, since all our emails are unique, so we can find it by email. For example, if we have no user with this email, okay, then we create it. This function, call this function create user. Provide it with name, fetch the name from the auth, from this argument, and then put it into our database. First we need to put it in a change set. We have email and name, insert, and result will be okay. If we have not registered, so will be error, and roll back our repo. Here is our helpers, name from auth. Okay. If we have first name and last name, so we can just split and join these strings. Alright, we have been created our user and then invoke authorization from auth. So we should create authorization for this user. This function is invoked, is called. Okay, first build user, since all our authorization are bound to user. So yes, this build all our authorizations based on the user, on this argument, current user, and then put all the data from auth to change set. First, okay, so we need a provider. In our case, for example, it's GitHub or identity, and then UID token. So we have corresponding helpers like UID from auth, token from auth. Here is UID, simply auth UID. In case we have token and a provider is identity, so we should create our token and use command in. And the same thing is with password and password confirmation and so on. Seems, yeah, this is basic functionality, and that's how it's working. So if we route to credentials, it will show up all our current credentials, like token. Yeah, GVT means JSON token. Here is our newly generated token and our current email and ID of the user. So we've made it with this function. In case we have no credential, it will render failed credentials from this view. Yeah, error and description of this error. In our case, credentials are okay, so user is authenticated. Just match token to Guardian block token and match user to the current resource and render this file credentials JSON. Here is our JSON. So that's our user and its token. So we can go to our terminal, make alias for our modules, first repo and then user and then authorization, and then Guardian token. And then let's try to fetch our users. Repo all user. Alright, we have first user registered with GitHub and my email, and the second user. Also we have authorizations. also two authorizations. Yeah, the token for that authorization, and UID will be my nickname from GitHub. In case of provider identity, UID will be the unique email. And Guardian token. Right, current. This is token for current user. Here is our GVT, the same as here. And note that we have only one token, since only one user is currently logged in. The first user is logged out and the token is gone. His token is gone. Alright, it was very write-heavy tutorial, write-heavy screencast. The user management, authentication, very useful and necessary part, and very difficult part of our tutorial. For today, I guess we are done, and follow next screencasts. In the next screencast we will add some CSS and JavaScript, and we'll work with Phoenix channels. So for now, thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.